Hi, I'm Penny, this is Penelope's Pitstop, and in this video we're going to be doing stage 19, the front middle chassis and oil pipe covers, and stage 20, the middle chassis. Now, first appearance looks like they're going to be really simple. However, the combination of the weight and some of the parts are quite complicated to do. It is actually a difficult issue.
Makes me feel good.
So stage 19, we received three parts. We have 19A, which is a front middle chassis. We have two oil pipe covers, and we have two BM 1.7 by 4mm screws, which I've already put in my little container. So what we need to be doing in stage 19 is lay the front middle chassis 19A on your building surface so that the central part is curved away from you. Take the first oil pipe cover 19B and fix it to the front middle chassis with the 1 BM screw. The part that clips the oil pipe should be facing towards the curved central part of the middle chassis. So we need to take this, and I'm actually going to place it between two boxes just to give it a little bit. In fact, actually I'm gonna lay it between, put it somewhere safe. So two of these, just anything just to lift that middle piece off the surface. So that should suffice. So what we need to be doing is taking one of these, do they call it the oil? I'm going to pop both of them on the table, and that will go into place just on there by the looks of it. So yeah, it's along here like so. That's rather interesting because it doesn't seem to clip onto anything. There's nothing to guide it. And also I've just realised I've got this totally off camera, so let's bring that up. So it's just there. It's very hard to see because it's black on black, but this actually has two holes in it, and we want one of these onto the BM screw. Let me just find a more suitable screwdriver head for it. So I'm going to use a PH00 screwdriver head. We'll see if that's good enough, and that might actually be it. No, that's fine. So I'm going to place the screw through it and then drop the whole thing, and then guide the end of the screw towards the screw hole, being careful not to scratch anything. This is actually quite fiddly, so perhaps tweezers would be more useful. So let me get my tweezers, and then I can hold that into place, and that's a lot easier. So I'm just going to screw that in. I'm going to change the screwdriver head. Sorry guys. So this is now a PHO posi head, and that's going to go in like that. So don't worry about that spinning around at first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to screw that all the way in if it wants to go. There's an awful lot of screwing, so when that gets close, we'll just hold. That's not even close yet. So once that starts to grip that, which still isn't even close, there we go. So that's starting to grip that now. So what we can do is we can just position that into place, and then we can just give that slightly more tightening, and then give that, so probably just move it slightly too much, so that as we screw that screw in just for the final twist, it will move that. You see, yeah, now it's actually straight. So there we go, and that's not going anywhere, so I'm happy with that. So stage 2, attaching the second oil pipe cover. Take the remaining oil pipe cover 19B, and secure this to the opposite side of the front middle chassis using one more BM screw, figure A. So we've learnt how to do this from the last time. So what we will do, we'll take this oil pipe cover, and remembering that we're going to be working on the opposite side this time, so if you're like me and you're right-handed, this is actually going to be, but I'm still going to work this way round, because we're only getting the screw in to start with. We don't need to worry about the orientation of the pipe cover, because as you can see, that's going to spin anyway. So tighten this, tighten until it gets very close. Well, not there yet. Getting there. So what we'll do is we'll just move that just a little bit too much. You see, I've got it just a little bit off, and then as I tighten that screw for the very last time, it's actually not moving it. That's quite interesting. So straighten it up, and I just want about another quarter. There we go. That's fine. So that is it. So that is stage 19 built. This is what the assembled piece should look like, and that is stage 19. Doesn't seem an awful lot. There's not a lot of work to do, but if like me you get these in packs rather than getting them from, I don't know if you can get them from the newsagents. I can already see next week's issue, which I'm going to do on camera now. So what is a point I'd like to bring up before I talk about issue 20, and it's a bit of a subject quite dear to my heart. Sometimes I hear people complain about the lack of parts, the lack of work. This is the last issue, issue 19. Now it is quite a substantial amount of product for our money, but the amount of work was quite low. Now one thing I always like to say is that you always need to average 2 issues. So we look at issue 18 and 19 as an average, then we look at 19 and 20, and then we'll look at 20 and 21. Now I could have complained about this one in the last issue. I understand that the price I'm paying is for the whole model, not for individual parts, but just one issue later, look at what I've got. Absolutely phenomenal amount. So you will never hear me complain about I also understand at the end of issues we get small touch-up details. So enough complaining from me. Let's go through the parts. So we have 20A, the middle chassis, 20B and 20C is oil pipe A and B. Now they are wound up together in the same little pot, but it looks like 20B is longer than 20C. Then 20D and 20E is the oil pipe splitter A and B. There is a difference. They are both in the same bag. There is a difference between the two, which I will go through when we come to them. And then we have CM 2.3 by 4mm screws, EM 2 by 4mm screws, IM 2.3 by 6mm screws and LM 2.3 by 5mm screws, which I've already removed from the bag and placed into my little screw pot. So let's go on to stage 21, and that is recover the front middle chassis 19A from the previous issue and place it so the 6 screw holes at the end of it are under the screw holes at the flat end of the middle chassis 20A, securing with 6 CM screws. So this is rather a large piece of work to do. Now, one thing I have observed is that this piece of chassis goes this way round, and if you look at the magazine you'll see that this little speaker piece is there. So the actual orientation of the magazine is something like this. So let me just pop this to one side because we don't need that for this stage. So we now need to take this piece, and if you don't have a soft board, consider getting a something like a towel or something. So this is the wrong way round, and it needs to go this way round, and the reason I know is this little pipe there needs to match up there, and this needs to go underneath. So let's do a dry fit. So there are 6, I see, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They need to line up there. There are some other screw holes which we can only assume is for future issues, and we can see these other screw holes line up. Now that doesn't look a good fit, so let me have a fiddle. I'm going to turn this upside down and we'll see if it fits any better like this. That is, oh, I don't know if I've done right. So this is what I'm observing, is that this isn't actually lining up properly. One's a little bit higher than the other. However, that is most definitely the way it should go. So, and I can see from the underneath that the screws are definitely going in that way. So it might well be that this will all pull together. So let's get our screwdriver, our screws, and we'll check our head is a good head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work the outside screws, and then I'm going to work the inside screws, and then in fact actually I'm going to go outside screws, then go this middle one, then this one, then back to this one, back to this one, just so the whole thing goes on level. And I would suggest the hardest screw to get in will be the first one, which I'm not going to put in all the way, and I'm going to treat these as pairs. So that's in, that's not in. Right, so so if it's not, I'm using my eye, just making sure that that screw hole is definitely lined up, and I suspect we'll feel when this goes, there we go. Right, so I've got some bite now, so I've only put that in just enough to bite. Then I'll pop my second screw in, and again I'm going to need to lift this up because it's going to try and warp. So we're lining that up by eye, and that is in. So I think I might have a slightly too small screwdriver head, so let me just try this. I do apologise for switching heads a lot. but it's a new screwdriver for me, and I found with my other screwdriver, let me move the camera up, what I found with my other screwdriver was you just get so used to the screwdriver heads that you can just look at a screw and you just know exactly what head to use. These are new heads, new screwdriver, even the container is different, and it's a relearning process for me. So that's 2 screws in. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to work on the next 2. So I'm going to miss one out, go to this one, and we'll pop that in. That's just enough to bite. Lovely. And then I'm going to miss one and go to this one, and that one's only enough to bite. This one I can either put it in enough to bite, or I can go the full way. I like to give a few twists. That's actually practically there. And then I'd like to go back to the first one. There we go. And then back to this first one, and we'll finish that off. That's lovely. Now there's still another 2 screws to go, but that is absolutely rigid, absolutely fantastic. I am so pleased with this, just on the basis of this piece. So finish this off, we pop that in just enough to bite so that it's not going to fall out, and then we're going to do this one, remember the last one that's left, and we're going to go in a little bit further. Then we're going to go back to the first one, a few more screws, back to this one, there we go, and then we'll finish that one off. So I can now see that this has actually lined up perfectly, so I'm rather happy with that. Obviously holding it, you can't necessarily get it in the correct position. Now to do what I feel is probably the most important part of this stage, we need to just check those screws. So tighten that one, tighten that one, and that one. This is metal screws. Oh, that needed quite a bit. Oh, this is hard work. There we go. Now every single one of those screws I've managed to get just a little bit more out of, so that I'm very happy with. So, whew. So stage 2, fit the oil pipe splitters, turn the parts over and place the pin of the oil pipe splitter A into the pinhole at the end of the middle chassis, fixing with 1 EM screw. Then fasten oil splitter B20E to the oblong recess to the left of the first using an EM screw. The end of the oil pipe splitter A with a thin rod should be hanging off the end of the middle chassis, with oil pipe splitter B facing the opposite way. So we need to get it this way round, and the reason I know this is because we've got this little speaker holes there on the right. So I would advise possibly, well, look at both pictures. So let's get the oil splitter pipes, and there's a simple way I've discovered to tell the difference. So oil piece D, sorry, piece E has a little split in it. Can you see that split? It's like it's meant to go over something and then something clamps it down, and then this piece doesn't have that split. So we know that that's D, no split, and that's E with a split. So we need D in the first piece, and it's going to go there. We've got a little locating lug, and then the little locating lug will go there with the screw hole there. Don't know if you can see that. So there's the locating lug hole, and there's the screw hole, and it will go in like that, and there's a potential danger there because that's a plastic piece but it hangs over the edge. So we need EM screws. Let me check. Yes, EM screws. So I think I found my new favourite screwdriver head on the last stage. That's a PZ1. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So all I'm doing is just locating the screw hole, and this is a metal screw, so we want to tighten this as tight as we can, but not so hard that it's going to split that piece of plastic. So check the movement. There's absolutely no movement there, and there it is. So that leaves us with the second stage, which is stage piece E. Now, whoops, there's a little recess there, and that will fit into the recess like so. Well, not like so, like so. And I'm just wondering if it's possible to get it in the wrong way round. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I think if you put that in the wrong way round, it would actually cover up some of the screw hole. So it actually goes backwards, or what would seem like backwards. So I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. I think the best way to do this will be to remove this, get a screw in, and just literally a turn or two just to get that screw into the hole. And then what we can do, because this is split at the back, we can then slide that in. There we go, and then that's holding quite nicely. Then we can continue to screw the screw a little bit more, not fully, and then we can just check it's still in that recess, it hasn't fallen out, which it hasn't, and then we can just continue to screw that until we've got the desired tightness, and that is not moving. I'm very, very happy with that. So that is the end of stage 2. So stage 3, we need to fit the middle chassis, take the parts that you have just fixed together and lay the front middle chassis on the front chassis frame. The gearbox parts should fit neatly in the raised central area of the front middle chassis. Secure the front middle chassis 19A to the frame by using 4 LM screws. The middle chassis 20A attaches to the frame using 2 IM screws. Carefully turn the assembly over and finish securing both chassis parts to the frame with 4 EM screws. So what we need to do now then is bring in the parts that we've already built, and here they are in all of their glory, and I think that looks absolutely amazing. So let's the best piece of advice I'm going to give anybody here is to stop and think. Don't rush in, have a little think. So we need to first of all figure out the orientation for this, and let's look for the speaker hole. So the speaker hole is in the top right, which is there. So that suggests to me that this piece goes in there. No. Right, so on there. So let's have a look. So it looks like, there we go. Right, so this is upside down because I can see this little piece there. That's easy to spot in the magazine, and that goes round about there. So this is the worrying moment now. So I think I would actually rather do it upside down as a dry fit. So I can see now what this part is for. That's to cover up the engine, and I can see there's a little hole there and a hole there, one there, and they seem to line up, and that looks absolutely perfect. And they actually look like the holes. They're not the holes. Right, so the holes that we're going to be screwing, so we now need to turn this upside down. We are going to have to do this upside down, so I am very nervous, very nervous. So that goes approximately there, and right, no, okay. Right, what's actually happened there is I've been following the wrong stage. So the first stage is actually this way. So we have got this the correct way round, in that that goes over there, and there's a loose cable there, so make sure you don't get that caught up. So we're looking for screw holes there, round about there, and it looks like it's going to be this one and these four there. So let's find the IM screws. IM screws. So let's look to see where that is. There's these four here. Right, so I feel that once we get one in, the rest will be easy to follow because of the shape of all of this. So I think what we're going to have to do is use our eyes a lot more than I have been. Right. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do, a little trick here. Right, so I'm going to get a piece of masking tape. I had some masking tape. Right, so I've got a line already on the table here. This is actually to do with something else. So what I want to do, I'm going to line my screw holes right in the middle of the masking tape. So what I really want to do is extend that line. So let's bring that line out to about there. So that's pointing to our screws. So when we place this on, what we're looking to do is line up these two holes here, and I'm sorry you can't see it on camera, but we now know that our holes are roughly there. So did I get an IM screw out? I'm sure I did. There it is. I say once we get one in, the rest will be so much easier. So right, I still can't find the hole. It's just too hard to see. So I think what'll be an easier idea, I'm going to move my camera and I'm going to actually pull it off the desk. I think that's going to be the easy way. This is a bit of a problem, isn't it? And the reason I want to pull it off the desk is so that I can actually see it from below. And excuse the mess on the floor. So, and I still can't see. Right. So I have taken the screw out. Tell you what, let's try. I'm just trying so many different ways. Right, I think that's it. There. There we go. I think I've done it. So I can move the camera back now. So I've inserted this screw there, but I've only done it enough to bite. So as you can see, it's on enough. It's very loose, but it's on enough to lift the engine. So what I now want to do is place one into the opposite diagonal, which should be there. Bingo. So we've got rid of a bit more of that wobble. Whew, I don't know if it's the heat or the work I've just done, but I have begun to sweat. So that one's in almost all the way, because it doesn't take too many screws to get this in. Excuse my hand, I'm so sorry. Let's switch cameras and we'll just move this up so you can see me screwing this in. So I'm going back to the first one, and the second one's proving a bit trickier, so I'll just manipulate the angle. And it's actually the bottom two that have gone in really nice. The top two are a bit stiffer. They are going in. Oh, there we go. And then the final one, notice I'm standing up for this. That's not the wrong screwdriver head, that's my hand slipping. So let's switch you back. So these aren't in fully, but they're in enough to test that it all works fine. So what I want to do now is I don't like tilting this, so I certainly won't tilt it at 45 degrees, because if you tilt it at 45 degrees, you can see there it's going to rest on one of the wheels. It's going to put a lot of pressure on the wheel. So I'm going to have to work on this at 90 degrees. So there is no best camera for this. So that one's in nice and tight. This one is. These top two have got quite a lot of work to do. So, oops. There we go, that one's in. And then the final one is this little one hidden up here. And that's not going in much, is it? That doesn't want to be going in. Why is that? So, one question I'll be asked, I'm going to take that out, because I don't think it's engaged in the screw hole properly. If it had engaged in the screw hole, I'm sure it would have stopped by now. So this is why I like to put my screws out, but I felt it go in. So I'm going to just flip this over. So it's a bit of an issue here. Not the end of the world, and even if I can't get the screw done, I don't think it's going to affect the overall build. One screw out of 4, so let's... Oh, I can see where it is now. I think that's a damaged hole. I do think that's damaged, but I'm not unhappy with it. I could sort of say, well, that's a damaged part. I think what's happened is that the hole is perhaps too big. The hole under here in this piece here, but I'm really not going to worry about it because it's in with 3. So what we now want to do is somehow flip this over, and I really don't want to flip it over, to be honest with you, because you've got the steering rod there that's quite fragile, and you've got this part here. So I think the best way to flip it over will be to get 2 blocks or something and place them there. So let's have a look. I think I'm going to have to rest it this way, and I'm just going to have to be very gentle, and then I'm going to place something under there. Oh, actually I have got something that will work. So let's place that along there, and then I will place, you can get anything you want really, just something just to lift it up. There, oh, thought that was it. So that's a little bit too rounded, so yeah. There we go. I'm happy with that. No, I'm not happy with that, because now we've got the steering rod on the ground. So let's place those there. Right, let's place those on the other side. So that's better. So what we are looking for now is 4 more screw holes, which we're going to secure with EM screws. And there's 2, oops, you can't see. So we have 2 there, 1 and 2, and we have 2 there, 1 and 2. So that's just simply a case of screw those in, and they are EM screws this time. And unfortunately, one of those EM screws is in one of these boxes, or perhaps not. So it's typical. Here it is. There they are. So I always keep my screws in the boxes. So again, I'll work on these opposite corners. So the EM screw. So perhaps, hopefully, you can now see why I'm not concerned about 1 screw, because this piece is secured on with 8 screws, 4 from underneath, 4 from the top. So that one's gone in. Now I'm not going in really hard with these screws. I'm just getting them into the holes, getting them started. And let's do the final one. Right, so that's a good position. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to lift the whole thing up. I'm going to remove these boxes, and I'm going to place the whole thing on its side, and that's for my convenience. Excuse the camera. So I'm going to finish these screws off, get them in nice and tight. So, and this is placed in this way because it's then easier for me to screw. So there you go, there's one. Can you see this? Not quite, can you? So this is very, very, very quickly grown too large for this camera angle. I had the camera angle set up for the work I was doing, but obviously we've added just 2 issues and suddenly it's just grown. And there we go. So they are on, and I'm gonna take a gamble here, and I'm actually gonna pick this up by this piece. And then you see how sturdy that is. So, wow, how amazing is this? So, this is what it looked like 2 issues ago. Only 2 issues ago. And now, that's how big it is. Wow, absolutely amazing. So, that's done then. So let's look at stage 3. Sorry, stage 3, stage 4. So stage 4 is connecting the oil pipes. Firstly, take oil pipe A and push one end of it into the pin that protrudes upwards from the center oil splitter A. Tuck this under the underside of the car, threading it through the oil pipe cover onto the right of the car and over the gearbox, pushing the free end of the pipe into the lift valve as shown in figure C. Then push one end of the oil pipe into the pin in the center of the oil splitter B, figure D, which figure D has disappeared. Figure D is on another side. Thread the pipe through the oil pipe cover on the left underside of the car, figure E, and into the lift valve 13C as shown in figure F. So this one stage consists of, let me show you, so this 1 page, 2 page, and in fact the instructions have taken up so much that they've only got this little bit of room there to show us the final build. So we want pipe A Now let me just double check the parts so that I'm talking properly. So pipe is 20B. Now we have two pipes, B and C, and I believe that B is the longer of the two. So if we take two ends together and we run our fingers down, the first one to pop will be the shorter one. So I can already see which one it's going to be. So there we go, that's the longer of the two. So I've just popped that over, the short one over the two. So right, oh, lots of moving around. So this is the the pipe splitter, and this one wants to go on top of there, and I'm not the biggest fan of doing this, but we have to get this pipe on, and that's one of those easier said than done moments. So I'm trying to get a good camera. I think I might have to change camera angles. Right, so we're trying to get it onto there, and we've got to hold all of this heavy piece. We've got to manipulate this onto the end, and I found that these pipes are actually really difficult to get on. I found that with all the others. You have to kind of push hard, kind of stretch it on. That really isn't going to go, is it? So I wonder, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm just going to shave the top. Just the very top. It's going to make it slightly more pointed. There we go. I haven't taken any length off. I've just taken a corner off. And wow. So I've just come up with a better idea. I'm going to remove this. Once I remove it, I haven't got to fiddle about with the chassis then, have I? And then once I've put the pipe on, I can put it back on. So why did they not give us the pipe earlier? That would have been so much simpler, wouldn't it? So put that down there. Oh, that weighs a ton now, you know, guys. This has really become hard work. So this is, I'll take the screw out before I lose it. So no, the screw doesn't want to come out. So what we're trying to do is we want to place this pipe onto there, and look at that, straight on, absolutely straight on. So problem no more. So what we now need to do, I've made a little bit extra work by doing it this way, but guys, come on, you've seen how much easier it was. So I wish I'd known that, because I wouldn't have even put the pipe splitter on. Still, never mind, it's done now, isn't it? So that's going on, that is on. So being very careful here, and I mean very careful, what we want to do is, this is a, I thought this was going to be such a simple issue. So it needs to go down and under there. Oh, it's come off again. Oh no! Should be easier to get on this time. No, it is. Alright, so that keeps popping off. I'm going to glue it on. Right, so that's going to run along here through. Tuck this under the underside of the car, threading it through the oil pipe cover 19A. Right, so the oil pipe covers have become slightly hidden. Actually, they've become, there we are. So we've got an oil pipe cover there. and that's where this wants to go. So I think what we should have done is we should have straightened this pipe a little bit. So we'll just get this pipe, we'll just run it through our fingers, and the more we do that, the more it's going to straighten it. We're kind of pulling it a little bit, but then allowing it to go back to its natural shape. So need some light under here, guys. So that goes through onto the right hand side, which I've lost. So that's going to have to go underneath that bit. Whoa, they're punishing us, aren't they? So that goes under there. Don't know if you can see this. So it tucks under there, like so, and then we need to thread that into there. Okay, that was easier than I thought. I thought it was going to be trickier. However, saying that, I am just going to grab my tweezers and just grab the rest of it. These are very strong tweezers. Right. So I need a box. I can't let go of this front because the steering rod will hit against the ground and it could bend it. So I've got a slight kink in this pipe which I want to get rid of, so I'm just going to kind of twist it round. So just twisting as I go. That's going to run that in there, and then it wants us to run across like that, and then that's going to go on to, right, I'm looking at this backwards. No, this doesn't work. So I think it's going to go on to this one. And I remember how I got these on now. I used the tweezers and then I placed that on like so. And I know you can't see that, but there isn't an awful lot I can do. So you can see the pointy out bit there. I'm trying to get that onto there, and the only way you can really do it is to push really slowly. So now I'm in a dilemma here now, because this to me looks like the whole pipe is too long and there's excess. But if I cut the excess off, will it then affect the final build? We had a similar situation with the Rootmaster, and it turns out if you left it, it will never be noticed. So I'm gonna leave that, guys. So there's the excess. So I'm okay with that. So figure D is we need to run the other pipe, and this one's going to be simpler, I hope, because it's coming from a different direction. So let me pull the camera back. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do what I should have done first on the other pipe. I'm just going to pull that pipe through my fingers a few times, and you see how each time I do it, it just straightens it a little bit. And then there where it's twisted at the end, you can always twist it against it. Just get that as straight as I can. It would be impossible for the magazine to get this straight, because you'd need packaging really long then. So that's going to go on to, let's move this up. That's going to go on to this piece here, and I think I'll use the tweezers method again, because that's worked so many times for me. So we'll get the tweezers in. I know you can't see this, and I do apologise, and it wouldn't be any better if I used the other camera. So this is the actual best, so maybe I need to invest in another camera on the other side. So I don't think that's fully in, but now that I've got it on the end, I can always push it with my fingers. Right, so that's going to go up, but this time it's going to go on the other side. So under there, and bring that up, and we'll use our tweezers again, because it's working really well with the tweezers. And what is the point in having equipment that's cost money and not using it? So, having said that, it really does not want to go in there. Right. Wow. So much effort over such a small part. And you can't even see it anyway because I've got a terrible camera angle. So what I'm trying to do is get, you just see the end of the plastic bit, but I just can't seem, I've got this right on the edge of the tweezers and I don't want to squeeze it too much. I think you've got to get the right angle, but it's finding that correct angle. Okay, let's try a plan B. I'm going to disconnect it from this end and I'm actually going to thread it in the opposite side. I think we'll have a little bit more room on this side to play with. So let's perfect. Perfect. Yeah, it's just not enough room on there. It's saying that I still can't get it in. Right. It's getting there, but it's not there. There we go. Yeah. So what you've got is you've got the hole bit is there, but you've got a bar going at that angle. So we're trying to push it in that way against the bar, and you see there's not an awful lot of room, it's just there. Whereas here you've got so much more room. So if like I just have, you struggle to get that out through, come in from the other side and then we'll pull that all the way down. Now I have had to just twist this wire to get it through, so I have created a kink in the wire, so I just need to just twist this wire as I bring it down. So you see my fingers are twisting, and then that bit underneath there, and then I can reconnect this end back onto the pipe splitter. Now there's a worrying thought, because I've got 4 more ends that haven't got pipes on, so that tells me we've got more pipes to come, which so, and that's going to go on to, I can't help thinking this has been done backward. Aha, right. So that's going on to, that's going to go onto that peg there, but unfortunately you can't see it, so I'm afraid you're going to have to I'm afraid you're going to have to take my word for it, guys, because I really can't show you because of the camera. I just can't get the angles. The whole build is now so big, saying that I might be able to get it from the other side. So let's tuck that there. In fact, it might even be easier from the other side. So there we are. So let's move the camera. So you can see it just there. What I'm trying to do is get that pipe there onto there. Yeah, it's still hard to see because of the steering rod, but this has made it a little bit easier for me. Oh. Now, I think, yeah. Now, I wouldn't like to say this is like surgery, but because I know surgeons do many years of training, and doing one part work doesn't make you a surgeon, but it's very similar to surgery, I imagine, like doing the stitches. So I'm going to check that. I just almost lost control of that. So there's my pipes connected up, and you see one runs down there, one runs down there, and I'm just going to pull a little bit of the excess through. So I have got excess, but the way I've left this, these bits are connected in there. One runs through there, down through there, down. If I do have some excess and I decide to cut it off, I'll cut it off this end and then reconnect there. I think that will be a lot easier. So, whew, that is the end of the stage, and that will be the end of this build. So, let me move this back. That was very technical for the amount of parts that we had. I'm absolutely shocked at how large it's got. In just two very simple stages, it's grown, and I suspect it's going to grow a lot more, because the engine's going to come about there. This will give us room for the seats, maybe their driver's seat, back seats, and then you still need all the gurney. So I may have to mount my camera on the ceiling. So guys, thank you for watching. Next week we're going to be doing the middle chassis frame and propeller shaft, and then issue 22 is going to be the rear chassis frame and leveling valve. So thank you for watching, guys, and I will catch you next week.